Hopefully this works. They don't have to see my face, right?
No, it's only me showing the screen and your voice.
Chill. Alright. Well, hopefully they can hear me. Can you see if they hear me?
Yeah.
You can hear me?
Testing.
Hello, hello. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Ah, sweet. Okay. Alrighty. So. All good, all good. Okay. This is really weird, honestly, knowing that I'm on stream. Anyway, hello, everyone, both in the classroom and online, if there's anyone. Last week I wasn't able to do the game development 101, or game design. Either way, it's the same. But it actually works out because there's six total lessons. So it's like it works out perfectly. So it's great. All right. So if you don't know me, you can't see my face, some people, but my name is Rotem Werner. I'm the former vice president for GameSpawn. And today we're just going to be talking about game development in general. And so let's start off. Alrighty. So just give me 1 second. Alright. So what is game development? So game development is just taking the ideas that you have, whether it's something that you've been dreaming of forever or just something that suddenly pops into your head and making it into a game. And there are all kinds of aspects to game design. That includes the programming, which is usually the most popular one for us, just because we are a engineering-based organization. But some other ones that we have are design. So this is where all the ideas come off, and and this is kind of like where what kind of game you're gonna do, how the flow of the game is gonna go, maybe the art style that's gonna go into it. The art itself, which is next, is the actual art that goes into it. So without art, obviously, you would just have like gray boxes everywhere, and like it would be really ugly. So you have to give a lot of praise to the artists because they actually make really like beautiful art. Like Ori and the Blind Forest is so beautiful. Oh my gosh, it's just such a great game. And then the last one is sound, and sound is just like the music behind the game, even like the way someone steps on in the game, or someone jumps or whatever. It's everything, including like Mario's famous I'm not gonna do it right now, but you know what I mean. All right. So next up, so putting the ideas on paper. This is actually something that a lot of people overlook, but it's really, really important. So design documents are pretty much how you lay out everything that's going to happen in the game. And so this is kind of like the beginning. This is before you start coding, before you start doing anything. You have to make a design document because that's how you get everyone in agreement and on the same page. Because if you don't, then people are going to be like, oh, but I want to do this and I want to do that. Once you have the design document down, then everything is written down in paper, and people can, people can look back at it and just reference that as a way to know exactly what they're going to do. So this includes things like art, the way the art is going to be done, the way the mechanics for the game are going to work, what kind of music you're going to be doing. So it's everything everything just goes on this document. I'm sorry. All right, so the big question is, how do you make games? And there's just a really simple way is you download an engine that designs games. So the one we use the most often is Unity, obviously, and that one is very beginner friendly. You know, there's so many tutorials, and just a lot of people in the club have a lot of experience with it. So, for instance, one of my favorite games, again, Ori and the Blind Forest, was made in Unity. Something that's like really amazing, like a really highly known game, was made in Unity. So, like, even though you will be starting with basic games, know that with Unity you can make like really amazing games as well as you progress through your experience. Now there's also things like Unreal Engine 4, which is a lot more for 3D based games. You can do Unity 3D, but Unreal Engine is like a lot more advanced. So once you have like your experience down, maybe you would want to go to Unreal Engine. And then Game Maker. Game Maker is like really, really basic. Just like if you have no experience whatsoever, you don't really have you don't really know if you want to do an art. Game Maker is like a good way to kind of get into it and see if you're interested in it. And so the next thing is how you're gonna program. So for Unity, the game is coded in C#, which is actually very, very similar to C++. And so once you learn C++, a lot of the times you'll be able to program a lot of languages because the syntax, which is just like the way you write the code, is all about the same. So there are a few like slight differences, like maybe some programming languages handle certain aspects of a program differently. But most of the time, once you have one language down, then it's very easy to kind of to learn all the other languages. All right, next slide. Who makes games? Everyone I described in the beginning, but also there's something that I would like to add, which is the project lead and producer. This is kind of like pretty much the leader of the group. They are the ones that kind of come up usually with the idea for the game, and they usually run by like all the things that are happening. You know, what's the programming person doing, what's the art person doing, you know, making sure that the game is going according to their vision, right? Because and then, you know, they do ask for input from other people, but just they always want to make sure that the game is going according to like their vision, and that may change based on like people's ideas. So don't think that they're like an overruler or something. It's like, no, I deny all of your ideas. It's always just like they'll take input and then they'll kind of discuss it with everyone, what the next steps are, you know, what we need to work on, and all of that stuff and such. All right. So we're gonna talk about the game designer. So like I said, the game designer is the one that actually comes up with the idea, and they'll constantly be editing the design document that I was talking about in the beginning, because it always changes. Like, ideas always change. Things don't usually, like 99% of the time, they don't stay the same. Things might change because of maybe, like I said earlier, vision changes, or just like something maybe is a little bit too hard to program, or like too hard to draw, or like maybe they think, oh, maybe this art style will fit better with this game. So it always constantly changes. Again, they always talk with other roles just to make sure that everyone's on the same page and on the same level, so everyone is on everyone's communicating correctly and effectively, so that there isn't like any delays and things that there shouldn't be delays in. And then anything that's a high level, which just means like very basic understanding, is usually what the game designer would work on, right? Because usually artists don't have a lot of knowledge about programming and vice versa, and so you want to make sure that everyone understands what's going on between each of the roles, because someone like a program can be like, oh yeah, I was using a for loop to do this, and it's like, what's a for loop? Like, they won't know what programming is, and so you need to like put it in a way where everyone will understand, and that maybe that way that basic understanding could help them maybe give input as well. So that's really important. All right, the next person is the artist. Now, the artist makes everything look very, very pretty. I always appreciate artists the most because, yeah, it just makes the game look so much better. And a lot of the times, people will use these programs to create art. So a very popular one is Adobe Photoshop. You know, all the memes that you make, a lot of people make them in Photoshop sometimes. And then GIMP is another one. And then I actually don't know what SAI is. I know it's another drawing program, but I've never actually tried it before. But definitely check it out. And then 3D, there's Blender, which is a very easy to use program. And actually, Haciel is hosting a workshop for using Blender. So if you're interested in learning 3D art, then definitely go to his workshop. And another one is Autodesk Maya, which is more difficult to do. But even though it's technically you have to pay for it, if you're a student, if you use your student email and you're really interested in trying it out, you can get the program for 3 years for free, as long as you're a student. So if you're really interested in that, there should be a tab that allows you to have the program for 3 years without any payments. Alrighty, so next up is the programmer. The programmer is the one that pretty much makes the game the way it moves. So the way the character jumps, the way the character interacts with certain objects, the way the game is like played out itself. That's all pretty much in the programmer's hands. And so make sure that it's very important that the programmer makes sure that everything works properly. In games, you'll like bump into a wall and then you'll fly up in the air, and it's like usually it shouldn't happen, but in some cases it does. But that's why you always need to like check your code constantly, and like the one thing that people always tell you to do is try to break the game. Pretty much try and find something that's gonna like make the game crash or make the game like bug out. And because if someone else finds it that isn't a programmer or like someone who's playing the game, usually that's not great. So you want to always just like tell someone like, here, take the computer and press a bunch of buttons and see if anything happens, So always make sure that you're constantly testing the game. Again, they just pretty much communicate with everyone, making sure that the way the game is played is the way that people want it, or the whole team wants it, just because in certain aspects maybe this character isn't jumping a certain way or isn't interacting with certain object a certain way. And you want to make sure that it all aligns. The next one is the audio designer. And so this is the person who, makes the music in the background. Again, the music that maybe what happens if you hit a wall or you shoot a wall or whatever it may be. And usually audio designers come in the later stages of the game, just because it's a lot easier for someone who's composing the music to be able to design it around the game when it already has like all some of the mechanics and some of the art. Because you can, like, if they were to do it before, let's just say you're making a horror game and he plays just like the most like techno music ever, that's gonna be kind of weird. Like, you're playing a horror game and then techno music comes on, that wouldn't make as much sense, right? So like once you have all the designs up, maybe you could put like really creepy happy music or something for the horror game. And so it's very important for the audio designer to actually know how the game is being played and what it looks like and what kind of the goal of the game is. Alright, the project lead. So this is a person that organizes the whole thing, as I said earlier. And leads will be usually the ones who want to recruit members. So they'll be like, someone will sign up and be like, okay, you're interested, and then they'll probably ask them questions, be like, oh, why do you want to be part of this game? What can you contribute, etc., etc. And then if they think they're a good fit, then they'll bring them in. Now, don't be discouraged, because in GameSpawn, no one is ever going to get rejected, because most of you guys are new. So, don't be like, oh, I don't have enough experience, I won't get in. It's like everyone is allowed to join any project, as long as you tell the person that you want to be interested. So do make sure that you start looking for projects that you're interested in, and don't be afraid to come up with your own idea, because at the end of the day, even if you don't fit in with any of the other games, maybe your game idea will bring in other people as well. So don't be afraid to show off your idea. And another thing a lead does is makes sure that the other team members are motivated. So if someone's getting discouraged, or like schoolwork is getting in the way, or if something is just not is stopping them from being passionate about creating the game, talk to them. Be like, hey, is there something wrong? Is it the way the game is turning out? Is it some other issues? So you always want to make sure and find out if the person is motivated or not, because If the motivation goes down, then maybe the atmosphere will change, and you want to make sure that there's always a positive atmosphere in a game. Alrighty, so this is the project cycle. This is a very important part of game development because this is pretty much the foundation for everything. So the first thing you start off with is the game design, which is the idea itself. And then once you have all that done, then the development occurs. And this is where you make everything come to life and everything comes to fruition. And then the next part is the demo. And this is like very, not very late, but like pretty late in the stage just because it takes time for you to be able to make a demo. Because a demo just means that you have like the basics down and like the basic game down, but it does take a while, especially for beginners, just because you just want to make sure everything that you want to work at the basic level works. And even if there's like small bugs or something, you wanna try and make sure that there aren't like too many bugs at the basic level, because then when you're continuing to develop the game, then you might run into that same bug later on. So you want to make sure that your basic level doesn't have too many bugs. That way, when you keep developing, it won't like pop up again and like ruin your whole game. Because trust me, I've dealt with that before and it was horrible. The next part is pretty much refinement, right? So this is like a very, very long cycle. Like this little cycle right here is gonna be pretty much 90% of your whole game, because you're gonna demo and then you're gonna find something's wrong and you're gonna have to refine it. You're gonna demo again and you're gonna have to refine it, and it's just a constant thing. And this pretty much goes on for the rest of the game's life, unless like you decide to put it aside and like not update it anymore. So, for instance, a good example of like this constant cycle is games like Counter-Strike, League of Legends, Dota. They're constantly pulling out updates and like bugs and stuff, because it is a multiplayer game, an online multiplayer game, and so you constantly find new bugs and stuff, because when you add new things, right, new bugs come up. So this is pretty much, unless again you set aside the game and you're like, oh, we're done working on this forever, then this will be always happening, the refinement and demo. Eventually, though, you will get to the release part, and this is like yes, we did it, we finally made something that everyone can play, and this is like probably the most exciting part. With some of the people that have come in for tech talks, they've always talked about like literally like the hours before like the game is released, like all of them are like sitting anxiously like hoping that everything works and whatever. Actually, there's a really cool video. I don't have the link for it, but hopefully I'll be able to find it, where they have the video of the night before Overwatch came out, and this is what they said happened. They said that the server was not working like 2 hours before the game was coming out, and they were like rushing to get it to work, and literally 5 minutes before it was released, it started working, and they're like, hallelujah. So just so you know, even at like the biggest industries ever, things can happen before release. So don't feel discouraged if like 5 minutes before you release your game, something tragic happens. So yeah, it's always really exciting for release, but people get really stressed out. But like once it's released, get excited. So that's always your goal, is to be able to release your game and feel happy and feel accomplished. All right, so sadly we have to talk about things that happen during game development, which is pitfall. So we're going to talk about scope, polish, and motivation. Then pitfalls refers to like frustrations that come along with when you're developing a game. So scope is probably the biggest thing that probably demotivates people. People come in and they're like, I want to create GTA 5, and you're like, not yet. We need to start thinking small, Because yes, dream big, and you should dream big, and you should like think about creating a great game. But you have to take baby steps, And so one of the big things is people like think really big, and then they come into a game and like, this isn't what I wanted, and this is too hard. But in the grand scheme of things, it's mostly because you're thinking just like way too big at that time. You want to start with small steps, get the grasp of like a game itself, how to create it, and even small games, you should feel really accomplished for it, because especially if you're new to game design, just like having something that like you worked on really hard and that works, you should feel great about that. Because think about the 99% of other people who started a game and never finished it, right? You're already in that 1% who actually made the game, finished it, and is able to present it to other people. So just remember that like it may seem like everyone else is like releasing the games, but honestly, like if you like create a game on your own or with a group, you're already doing better than like 99% of the people. So always think about just like starting small and then slowly growing and making bigger games. So, and also working on smaller games builds a lot of experience, right? For instance, I was talking to our win coordinator Dan, and he talked about how in his previous game he was looking at the old code, and this was just like last year, and he's like, why did I code it this way? This makes no sense. So you're always constantly improving and like figuring out what you can improve. And so yeah, it's just I encourage you just to take baby steps, start small and slowly work your way up. All right, polishing. Your game may not look like what you want it to look like, and yes, it may suck, but at the end of the day, you're a beginner, and it's okay if the game doesn't look perfect, right? You have like on the left side, you have like the little blocks and stuff, and while it may not look very pretty, it may look like very blocky and just like basic, but if you like put in the effort into the game, then it shouldn't matter, because you put in the effort, you have a working game, and it's something that you enjoyed making. So no matter like how ugly it looks, like you should still be proud of it. So for instance, like people thought Minecraft was an ugly looking game, but look where it is now. So never think that your game is too ugly to play. All right, motivation. So this is something I talked about earlier. A lot of times people do lose motivation because ultimately it depends on like how you feel about the game. So a lot of times people will run into problems. So like you'll have like a block, like any kind of like artist block, programming block, whatever, that you just can't get past it, and then it demotivates people because let's just say, like for me, I'm a programmer, so a lot of times you'll like run into a bug and you just stare at the code for hours and you won't understand like why it isn't working. And the one advice I'll give is that you need to take a break. If you're just sitting there staring at the computer, you're not helping yourself. You're not letting your like brain think differently. So if you're having some kind of block, make sure, like I 100% guarantee you that if you go outside, take a walk outside, like go somewhere where you don't think about programming. I don't know, go outside, go to the gym, somewhere that takes your mind off of programming, and let your brain work on it in the back of its head. Because trust me, it's helped me where like I've walked out, like went to eat with my friend, and all of a sudden while I'm eating, I'm like, I got it. I need like get that like hallelujah, or that I don't know what it's called, but like, the eureka moment. That's what it's called. The eureka moment of like, oh my gosh, I figured it out. And then you go back and you type in, it's like, yes, it works. So if you do feel like you're demotivated, just like take a break, like just reflect on what you've been working on, and then once you take that break, if you feel like you need more help, don't be afraid to ask. Or if you need to take a longer break, don't be shy to say so. Because it's always important that you stay motivated, because if you lose motivation and you keep working on the same project, then you won't be putting your 100% in. And you always want to be putting your 100% into projects. Alrighty. Well, that is the end of the presentation. but we have lots of resources over here. The first one is us, obviously. We're always here to help you, right? We're always on Discord, on Facebook, everywhere else. Apparently we have an Instagram now, but that's not really a way to communicate. Discord and Facebook is preferable. Hack Night, which is Tuesday. Right after this? Oh. Right after this. So if you have any questions, if you're having trouble coding something, and people will be able to help you out. Game engine tutorials, Unity, Unreal. There's so many videos on YouTube. I can't even tell you how many there are. There's probably as many YouTube videos as there's the ways to solve a Rubik's Cube. So that's a lot, by the way. So search it up. There is 99% of the time, if you search it on Google or on YouTube, there will be a video about it. Stack Exchange / the Unity forums help out a lot, especially if you say, how do I fix this? Unity. Then it will give you like a forum just saying oh, I have this problem, how do I fix it? And someone will have an answer most of the time. Video tutorials, like I said, YouTube videos, and peers, people around you, us, GameSpawn, your classmates, your project mates. They are all there to help you. And so don't be shy to ask for help. Don't be shy to look for help. And don't ever, ever, ever feel stupid for asking a question. Because at the end of the day, it's better to know the answer than to think you're stupid and never ask it, right? To me, there's no stupid questions. I know everyone says that, but honestly, especially in programming, how complicated and annoying it is, there are no stupid questions. Even in art, there's no stupid questions. So it's everyone has a different way of doing art. So don't be afraid to ask questions. Next time, we're going to be talking about project design, documentation, and recruitment, which is the very beginning stages of the game. So, any questions? I know I just went through everything and I never stopped in the middle for questions. That is something I need to do next time. I am sorry about that.
That's what I did in my workshop.
I
learned.
Yeah, and also I was really nervous the whole time, so sorry if I stuttered a lot or sounded really nervous because I was. I'm not used to this usually, especially because I have 2 midterms tomorrow. Alright, yeah. So it's okay, but does anyone, I don't know if anyone's watching on YouTube, but if anyone has any questions here or on YouTube, on the live stream.
Also, don't forget to subscribe.
This is sponsored by GameSpawn.
Just hit that like button.
Hit that bell icon.
Oh yeah, the bell icon.
Notification squad.
What should we call our people? I don't know. Never mind. Any questions, anyone? No? All right. Thank you for being here, and whoever decided to watch, thank you for watching. Someone has a question?
No, someone smashed the like button.
Smash the like button.
Let's get 50,000 likes. Come on.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. All right, if there's no more questions, please, these slides will be posted on Facebook and Discord. So if you missed out, or if you want to look over the slides again, they will be up there. I'm pretty sure the YouTube video will be there the whole time. It's gonna be kind of embarrassing because I was nervous, but you know what? It's for the better of people, so it's okay. All right. Thanks again. Goodbye, YouTube.